Hey guys, we're here today on the beautiful Ruger North property here in Croydon, New Hampshire. This is a Fish and Game owned property, and as you can see behind me, it's absolutely beautiful. And all this property back here is for you guys to hunt and fish. So, let me talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, winter boots. So let me ask you this, what do you guys think of when you think of Sweden? You might think of a few things, like maybe this, or maybe this. But what I think of is Javalia Coffee, which I love, Sabaton, which is my favorite rock band of all times, and my favorite winter boot, Icebug. So let's get into it and let's talk about Icebug. All right, guys, 5 years ago, I was looking for a different type of winter boot. I got tired of wearing knee-high rubber boots that halfway, three-quarters of the way through the day, my feet would be soaked with sweat and frozen, whether I was hunting or just out shed hunting. So I had to come up with a different method or a different type of boot. So I looked at leather boots. Most of them were poor quality and came apart within a year. No matter how waterproof they said they would always soak through and get my feet wet. So we had to do some research. Now, my wife, Diane, she does a lot of that for me. She'll go online and she'll look at stuff that I would have never thought to look at. She'll go to places I never thought to look. And what she came up with was this company from Sweden, Icebug, and she found these boots and she bought them. Now, I wasn't sure what the heck I was getting because she never told me. They were a surprise. And I got them, and I was pretty leery when I first got them because they were very lightweight. They didn't look like they'd be waterproof, and they definitely didn't look like they were going to be warm. But these old boots have a lot of surprises to them. First off, there's carbide tip studs in the sole already. So as you know, here in New England, most of the time we'll get a snowstorm, it'll get warm, it will melt, and then we get some real, powerful cold will come in and freeze it, and it causes ice. So a lot of times the conditions we're going into isn't exactly snow, it's a lot of ice. So these carbide tips work really well from keeping you standing up instead of sitting on your butt in the middle of the woods. I really like that part. Plus the rubber, at the time these were made, they were made from recycled tires. Now I'm not sure exactly what the recycled rubber is on the new ones, but these were made out of some type of snow tire that they recycled into a sole of a boot, which I like the idea of. Instead of having piles of old tires sitting around, we're reusing them. We're using something again, and it's a really great idea. The other thing that these have as a surprise is there is a Gore-Tex lining in them, which makes them very waterproof, but they're also, the inside is recycled wool, and we all know what the best insulator for is in the winter cold is wool. So that, and they were extremely comfortable, beyond comfortable. So as you can see, these are starting to wear out pretty good. You guys have no idea how many miles are on this boot. You can put a lot on 4 years. As soon as snow flies, these are on my feet and I'm tracking deer with these. The studs do help, especially if you get in slippery situations, but they're super ultra light. They're the most waterproof boot I've ever had. These ones here, not so much anymore, but they're the most incredibly waterproof boot I've ever used in my life. We put snow seal on them just out of precaution, but it also keeps the suede from cracking and getting old. This here is the edge. It's just from crusty snow and everything else and all the miles I've put on. So I don't even want to guess how many miles. I'm not even going to come up with a figure. But we use them from deer season all the way through tracking season. And I'll wear them into the spring as long as it's still icy. Because sometimes you know how the snow will melt, but you still have that packed ice. These things are fantastic. Now, if I was an ice fisherman, these would be great for early season ice fishing when there's no snow on there to give you any traction. Because of these carbides, you wouldn't slip. You'd be able to walk wherever you wanted. And the nice thing is you don't have to have creepers on that flop. You know how creepers are. They come off, they get loose, they don't work all the time. These would work fantastic for early ice fishing, and they'd keep your feet extremely warm on the ice. I can't say enough good things about these old boots, and I'm still wearing them. Matter of fact, I just wore them the other day when I went shed hunting. As long as I'm not in anything wet, if I'm in dry, powdery snow, or even pack snow, pretty much they'll stay fairly dry. But as soon as it starts getting sloppy wet, these things your feet are going to get wet. Now these are the Icebug Torne BUGrips. The BUGrip meaning the carbides in the sole. And these are my brand new, never worn Icebug Torne2 BUGrips. All right. Now these things are great. They're the same as this, obviously a little different color, and a little bit improved. So, same thing. We have recycled rubber on the bottom. We have our carbide tip studs in there. Recycled wool on the inside to keep your feet nice and warm. They do have the Gore-Tex liner, keep your feet dry. And on the inside, we have a heel and a toe reinforcement. And that heel and toe reinforcement is made out of recycled plastic, which part of that is recycled fishing nets, nylon fishing nets, which I think is great because you're taking something that's junk, you're never going to be able to use it again, and breaking it down and putting it into a product that we can use outdoors. Now, I'm not no greenie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a conservationist. But anytime we can take garbage out of the environment and use it and put it into a tool that we're using outside, there's not a hunter or fisherman out there that can't tell me that that's not a great idea, because it is. Anyways, so these we just got. I haven't worn them yet. I'm an old New England Yankee. I'm cheap. I want to wear these until they fall off my feet. Obviously, that's not going to happen because I'm going to have to start wearing these, especially because of the leaks. So we're going to get on these. We're going to let you know how they work, but I can tell you just by looking at the build and how they feel, they're very much the same as these. One of the things I'll end up doing, like these, is I'll put snow seal on them just to keep the suede on the outer suede nice and not cracking. It'll help with the waterproofing, and we'll get to it. They're a little bit different in the size of the body itself. These are a little sleeker, but once these get worn down and everything gets worn in, I think they'll be just great. I'm really happy with the way they look, the build, the quality on these boots, either one. They're not like the boots you buy from some of these manufacturers that just mass produce tons and tons and tons of cheap shoes. You know, the threads are falling out, the sole comes apart from the shoe itself, which we've all seen, and we've all had boots like that, even name brand boots that will do that the soles come apart, whether they be the knee-high rubber boots or some of the other brands out there. They come apart, the boot will separate from the sole itself. Like I said, these have an insurmountable amount of miles on them, hard miles of walking, hiking, climbing mountains, pulling deer out, everything else. And the soles are still attached to that shoe just like they were supposed to. There's no threads sticking out. All the seams and everything on this boot are still in perfectly good shape. Just this one piece right there. And who knows, I could have done that with a stick and cut it at some point. It may not even be the shoe itself. And you can see that there's slices and stuff in there from brush. So they're extremely tough also. I know they're a little expensive when you look up the price, but let's face it, you guys waste more money in a year on stupid, nasty tasting Dunkin' Donuts coffee, or who knows what else. Save it up, buy a pair of quality boots. Because look, guys, when we're out in the woods, when we're out fishing or hunting or whatever we're doing in the cold, in the dampness, the one thing that will shut you down quicker than anything else is cold feet or cold hands. So always get yourself a good quality pair of footwear. Do not scrimp on footwear. I know, I'm the Imelda Marcos of hunting shoes. Let's face it, I've got shoes scattered all over my house, one for every different little thing. This is the one boot that I use for the most activities come cold weather. This is the boot to have. I'm without a shadow of a doubt. All right, guys, just FYI, I'm not sponsored by Icebug. They don't pay me to do this. I'm doing this because I like to tell you guys what works and what doesn't. And I'm honest about it. If it's a piece of crap, I'm going to tell you it's a piece of crap. But I'm not telling you to buy Icebugs, but if you can, buy Icebugs. They're great boots. They're amazingly great boots. And they're from Sweden. Anyways, I'm going to start wearing these here in a couple of weeks. Why? Because we got a ton more snow. And as of the other day, most of the bucks are still holding their antlers. So we're going to put these on. We're going to start doing some shed hunting probably after Valentine's Day. And then we'll get right onto it and we'll start wearing our Icebug 2s or Icebug Torne 2s. And we'll kind of give you an update on how they're working, which we already know how they're going to work because they're Icebugs. They're going to work great. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And whatever you do, guys, get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Get some snow down the back of your neck while you're going through the brush looking for sheds, all right? We'll talk to you later.